to assemble the first fin within a reasonable time, but in fact we encountered problems which delayed the time for the assembly, and to worsen the situation, the lead time was shortened. So we ended up with a lead time that was nearly half of the original lead time we planned.
The fin was delivered on time, but it wasn't completely finished. Christian has had to move to France to continue the work.
We came here and thought we have a good planning, we have a good time schedule, we have everything on hand, but it wasn't like that. The moment we started working, we had to change each and every point. The planning was upside down, and so we had to just to start to work. So that's the way you can find the way through the jungle. Yeah.
Now though, as the screws go in on the camera, the end is in sight.
It's a good sound. That means the screw is in. With every screw we're a little step towards the end, yeah?
But then there's a problem.
Nee, nee, nee. Lass mal sehen, ja. Erstmal.
The fibre optic cable is too short to reach the camera.
Okay, da hast du nichts mehr. The connector is here, and the cable ends here, and we have to have another 1 centimeter, about about half an inch, which is the cable too short. I mean, but these are, yeah, these moments really piss me off. I mean, when you're almost done, so close, you can see the end. You almost stepped over the line, and then someone blocks you, hits you in the face, saying, "Hey, you're not yet done." How could you imagine?
Despite the setbacks, the build must continue as fast as possible. Now they can begin mounting the engines, some of the most expensive parts of the whole aircraft. Together, 4 of these giant Rolls-Royce Trent 900s cost nearly £36 million, a quarter of the cost of the plane. Back in May 2004, the engine flew for the first time. It was bolted onto a much smaller airliner, dwarfing its other engines. Weighing over 6 tons, the Trent 900 can produce up to 35 tons of thrust at full power, burning a gallon of fuel every 4 seconds. These early tests proved the engine at altitude, but there's a much, much tougher test to come. Here in Hucknall, Nottinghamshire, a second test engine will soon be a smoking ruin, deliberately destroyed as part of a dramatic yet vital safety test. It's an important time for the entire project, and as engineer Hilary Barton travels to the test, she admits to some nerves.
I must admit, I've got a few butterflies at the moment, but basically everybody's done the preparation and it's just now a matter of getting on and doing the test. But obviously before the engine starts, you're sitting there just kind of hoping it all go well, but just really waiting for it to happen now.
Every few years, a fan blade will break in a jet engine somewhere in the world, a rare but violent event that must not put lives in danger. At the root of the coloured blade is an explosive charge. With the engine at full power, it will be detonated, releasing the blade with tremendous force. Whatever happens, no large debris can be allowed to burst out of the engine casing. If it did, it could do serious damage to the rest of the aircraft. From the safety of a room 200 metres away, watching on video, 25 key personnel are waiting. In the split second the blade is released, the casing must successfully contain an enormous impact.
It is a very violent test. This thing is spinning round. It's at full power, so you've got the forces on the blade are quite significant. It's like having a locomotive hanging on that blade. So you're actually having to contain the energy of that system. So there's a lot of energy involved in the design and containment of the blade.
The engine is run for 5 minutes, so final checks can be made. With such an expensive test, nothing can be allowed to go wrong. High-speed film cameras are used to analyse the action, and at last the throttles are opened and the engine brought to its full, awesome power. This is what it feels like to be inside a building 200 metres away from a £9 million blade-off event. Blade-off testing is normally top secret, but for the first time, Rolls-Royce have released this footage. Although the engine was totally destroyed, the fan case did its job, and no large lumps of metal were ejected.
Well, that was an expensive 5 minutes.
It was, wasn't it?
I feel very relieved. Obviously, it's gone well. We've had a good test, and it's all credit to the guys. And yes, we've got a successful test under a belt. So I feel relieved and really pleased.
By December, the plane is finally about to leave the equipping hall in France. Airbus are trying everything to make back time, even if it means working over Christmas. With the grand unveiling just 5 weeks away, the next giant task is to paint the massive machine. In yet another vast hangar, working over the holidays, 90 painters descend on the plane. First they rub down over 10,000 square metres of bodywork. Then, after applying a very large amount of brown paper, the A380 is ready for a brand new paint job. All in all, more than half a ton of paint and primer are needed to protect the aluminium skin from the elements. The final livery has been a closely guarded secret until January the 18th, when the A380 goes public for the first time. The world's press are here, and as ever with this plane, it's a big deal. Inside part of the final assembly line, seating for 5,000 guests has been installed. In the equipping hall, now full of part-built planes, TV reporters are hard at work, feeding the story to the networks. Richard Branson has grabbed the headlines with news of double beds and casinos in his planes. For John Leahy and many others, it's a welcome moment of satisfaction.
It took an awful long time to get here, didn't it? But now we're here. It's pretty exciting.
The heads of state and governments arrive and take their places for a spectacle featuring dry ice, flying machines and computer graphics. Despite several high-profile speakers, there's only one star of this show.